Thank you for joining RasPipKr tutorials. I'm Martin Parker. I'm live. This is just a quick test. I'm just going to have a quick play with my old mate OTIS. So I'm just going to bring up the script. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rob some code from here. So I'm just going to grab all of that just to get my send started. Let's open a new script, new file, and just paste that in there. Right, so I'm going to get rid of all of this because I don't need any of this, and I'm going to set that to an RGB because that's the way I'm going to be, and I'm going to get rid of all this because I'm going to use RGB in RGB list. I'm not going to use any of this. As you can see, them values there are these values here. It goes belly, chest, eyes, left eye, right eye, and it's all in these here. So I'm just going to use that one list basically. I can't see this chat window, so if anybody's saying anything, just bear with me because I'm a little stressed. I've never been live before coding. Right, so I'm going to have a try. I'm going to use, hang on, it's a bit dark in here. Hey Google, lights on 20% please. There you go, I can see my keyboard now. Right, so accept, and I'm going to have a keyboard interrupt. And when I do that, I want to gpio.cleanup, and I just want it to just end basically. So down here it'll just run on and the script will finish. Right, so in my try thing, I'm going to have my while loop, so it just continues going. And then what I want to do, I want to choose an item from that list, and that's why I've got the random and the choice up here. So I'm going to call this RGB, and that's going to be equal to choice, when I spell it correctly, that always helps, and that's going to be of RGB list. So now I've got my choice. I want to actually set that as a pulse width modulation, so I'm going to call this PWN. This will be gpio.pwm. What channel are you going to be using is what you'd be asked, so I'm going to check use my one that I've just chosen, and I'm going to have a duty cycle of, sorry, a frequency 100. We'll go with that, that's fine. Some people do 50, but you know, you're not really going to notice much difference, to be fair, but it's in there now. So I've selected that. I need to actually pwm.start, so that's now started, or it would do when it's running. And now what I want to do is I want to, we'll go with B rather than I. I's always used. In range, rannig again. So I want it to actually get to 100, so I need to put it to 101. So pwn dot change the duty cycle to B for the brightness. Okay. I'm just going to have a time dot sleep. I'm just going to have this you know, a quickish pace. For I, no, B in range 100. So it's going to start at 100. It's going to go down to 0. But it's going to go in step of -1. So it's going to go down, count downwards. Excuse me. pwm dot change duty cycle, and that will be B again. and then here I'm going to have pwm.stop, and there's going to be a problem with this, and I'm going to show you, well, explain. Well, let's just save this first. This will be no, this is OTIS PWM. Okay, so that's what we're saving it as. Alright, I'm going to try not to get scared, but I'm going to have a quick look. Yay, loads of people not watching. Whatever. So at least it's working. Right, so like I say, it's going to cause a problem is this, because I haven't got a start value in, so that always helps. Right, so I'm setting it up as an output, so that's perfectly fine, but when I get into here I'm selecting a number from any of these in this list. So let's say that it chooses 18, so it's going to put 18 into there, and it's going to set it to that. It's going to set it to pulse duty cycle of 0, so technically it shouldn't really do anything, but because the way that OTIS is wired, the positive rail is kind of like the common rail, the resistors and everything, and the way that the wiring is, on my other script, I probably did tell you then, I set it high because it goes low to actually bring the light on. So I need to reverse the way that this is going to be. So I need to set this to be 100, and this will go from, basically I'm going to swap, excuse me, I don't know what that was with my body, made a noise. Cut that out, and I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to put that one down here. So I'm swapping them around, and you'll see why that has to happen. Basically that means it's in an off position, and it will go downwards, down to 0. Well, it'll go to 1. If I put that to -1, then that should work. It should go to 0. Pulse width, it's going to set that to each one of them, and then it'll get to its full brightness, and then it will work its way to 101. So it's going to go from 0 all the way to 100, so it should be fully out at that point. So I'm just going to bring my webcam up, my trusty webcam, and if it might freak out the link. Down and try and minimize that risk of issue. Just going to have a quick look at slight delay, but I'm not bothered about that. Still nobody watching. That's a good thing, so I don't get any pressure. Let's make that full screen, and let's set that to always be on top. Right. Right, so keep an eye on these lights. They are going to be slightly bright, but there's not a lot I can do about that. You see how it's coming up, and you see how it's staying on? So that's the problem that I'm going to have now, and eventually all these lights will end up being a really bright light. And how I need to get around that is I need to first stop it, because that would really help. So Control C, and that turns everything off. But as soon as I run that script again, oh, I didn't do it this time. Never mind. I'm just talking a lot of rubbish. Ta-da! I always talk rubbish. Anyhow, and the reason for it is I need to, in this part here, I'm going to put a gpio.cleanup, and the reason for that is I'm going to tell it to turn off that, so it doesn't stay on, basically, and then you'll see the full pulsing going on. But because I'm doing that, I'll have to move all of this. So I'm going to cut that out and I'm going to put it in here so that it's actually assigning the pulse width in here, setting the BCM pin, GPIO even, that helps if you can say the right words. So it's setting the actual thing up and it's going to do that, so it will actually turn it off. So you shouldn't have a light staying on this time, so it should go out. Yep, it's going out. Well, it's going bright and then it's going out, see, like that. But to make things a little bit more interesting, I'm just going to be coming to just stop that. What I'm going to do is, rather than just turning it off, I'm going to do a cheeky thing where well, let's do the variable first. I'm going to call this goes, I'm going to call this 0, and I'm going to goes plus 1, and that's going to go right at the bottom or above there. Yeah, it doesn't matter, let's put it here. So goes plus equals 1, so that means goes is going to increase by 1 every time it goes through this while loop. But what I want to do is I'm going to see if goes modulus of 3 is not equal to 0, then it's going to turn it off. So when it's on its first run, when that goes is 0, that light will it will go off. Second run, it'll go off. Third run, basically when it's part of the 3 times table, it should actually turn off. So we should get a mixture of lights as well. So let's run that, make it a bit more interesting. So that one stayed on. See how some of these are staying on now. Just adds a bit of colour to it. Now looking at the camera on my on here, everything looks a bit blurred. How can I? Do I have any paper? Oh, there's a piece of paper here. How's that? Does that make it any better for the angle? No, not really. That's pants, is that in it? See, the belly and the chest are that close, you can't really tell by camera. Just get right in, see if you can see the difference in colours. So this was just a quick test video because I've never been live before, especially on a Raspberry Pi. It's a new experience and I've never coded live, although it was very small and nobody's probably watching. Who cares? I'm doing something I've never done before. Right, so there we go, a bit of colour in my old mate OTIS. Well done to Matthew Charleston and James Cook and all the guys at all the jammers at Leeds Raspberry Jam. Not guys, because there's girls as well. Okay, right, let's turn off my webcam. Let's have a look at the live stream. Cool. Well, there you go. It wasn't a bad video, I guess. Right, let's end that stream. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.